Mercy is really bad in season 10. Like, borderline useless. Despite her being useless, I and many other players are still playing her. Why? Well, she's easy, fun, and frankly, I feel like a goddess whenever I fly around saving teammates from death. Also, because she's just my favorite character. There's three main points I'd like to get into today. Number one, why is Mercy terrible this season? Number two, what makes Mercy good? And number three, how could Blizzard potentially fix or buff Mercy next season? So, first things first, why is Mercy bad? I think the main thing that's hindering Mercy players right now is the recent DPS passive that was added to the game last season, which was also the beginning of Mercy's Dark Age. As a Mercy main, this new passive kinda became the bane of my existence. I mean, her healing was already pretty slow. Them adding that made it even slower. For me, she went from like a B tier support to a straight F tier. Pogre my DPS still felt alright as long as I didn't overpeak, but my tank would explode whether I helped them or not. Not only that, initially there was no indication of whether or not you were affected by the DPS passive, meaning you kinda just had to guess. Well, I kinda had to guess. We do have that indication now, but I think it's pretty poor. When I first saw it, I didn't even know what it was. Even though it's right above your health bar, I feel like I barely even notice it. I'm not saying that it should be as obvious as when you get hit by like an Ana nade, because that would be really annoying. Even so, it should be a bit more obvious somehow. I'd also appreciate it if, as Mercy, they let you know if the person you were healing is affected by it or not. Actually, I do have a suggestion. When you're hit with Ana nade, the outline of your health bar turns purple. Maybe when you get damaged and have the 20% less healing on you, your health bar outline could just change to a different color the same way, like red or blue. Besides that though, Mercy just doesn't have enough healing. It's consistent and that's great, but currently that isn't enough for her. Moving on to my next topic, what makes Mercy actually good? What was Mercy's best season? When Overwatch 2 first dropped, Mercy was super strong. Her GA cooldown was always 1.5 seconds, whether you super jumped or not. This genuinely made her unkillable sometimes. She was extremely slippery if played to her best. Almost every game I played back then as Mercy, I would end the game with 0 deaths. This is pretty tough to do with our current Mercy. In season 1 though, it was quite literally effortless. Somehow, I don't recall the community complaining about this. I remember damage boost was the main topic for nerfs back then, which eventually did happen in season 6. I think Mercy's second best season was definitely season 3. She received a new buff for healing, which was healing is increased by 50% for allies under half HP. I didn't realize it then, but this was absolutely broken, and I wish I had seen the value of it while we still had it. Why was this so good? Instead of healing for only 45 per second, if you were half health, this would jump up to 65.5 per second. Since Mercy's healing is the most consistent out of every support, being pocketed meant you could survive way more situations. And this was way before the new DPS passive was ever even thought of. So whoever she healed would constantly be healed unless you killed Mercy first. Now, last but not least, how could Mercy be buffed? Looking back at what made Mercy good in older seasons, I would suggest the return of her healing increase buff. However, instead of it being an increase of 50% under half health, it could be 25, or 25 for tanks specifically and only 20% for DPS and supports. Although this sounds decent, it would affect the impact of the DPS passive, which is already 20%. Say you have a Mercy on your team, but the enemy team doesn't. They'd probably feel the 20% healing reduction way more than your team, because they don't have that healing buff that Mercy has. It's for sure more complicated than I make it sound, and I'm looking forward to what changes may come with Season 11 for Mercy. For now though, we'll just have to wait and see. I still love Mercy as a character, and that won't change. She simply isn't as fun to play right now. It's really a shame that her worst season is the same season where she gets her mythic, which is amazing by the way. Anyway, sorry if I sound a bit messy and repetitive. This was my first time making a video like this. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing. And if you agree or disagree with my suggestions, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching.